Okay, so this is BLTC's first Zoom question and answer session. We are here today with Jack Southwick, who is an LTA Level 3 coach. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on Jack, just briefly. So Jack is sponsored by Wilson, and he represents them as part of the Wilson advisory staff as well. Jake has a very successful playing career. He's played for, there's a long list here, but some of the things that he's done is team tennis schools in national championship finals in 2015. Aegon British Tour Circuit and LTA national events also. And Jake has also trained at the All England Tennis Club for most of his career and has represented them on many occasions, such as demonstrations on Court 14 and Aegon Team Tennis. Jake has also trained at Sutton Tennis Academy, where he received a scholarship for 2 years. Some of our juniors, they're really into scholarships at the minute, Jake, so that's something potentially you could talk about a little bit. And finally, as I said, he is an LTA lawn tennis level 3 coach. So this evening, we will be looking at 3 particular areas. Lowering teenage dropout, which is a big thing for Tennis Ireland at the moment. Keeping teenagers like yourselves that are within this Zoom meeting tonight engaged in the sport, both as teenagers and through into adulthood, and participation ideas for players and clubs. And then Jake has very kindly agreed to answer some of the questions which you have submitted throughout the week. So Jake, are we happy to go? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So Jake, the first thing we're going to have a little chat about is lowering teenage dropout. What are your thoughts and ideas in relation to that?
I've come up with just a few things.
Yep.
So the first one would be like offering flexibility in training and competition schedules. Because obviously, like as a teenager, you're going through GCSEs and, then going to sixth form. So I think there needs to be a bit of flexibility, to balance those sorts of things out. And if the teenagers and players know that, then, probably just put them at ease as well.
Right.
And then essentially working together, it's not just so like coach dominated, but both are involved. You essentially are a team then. Stimulating participation in social activities and voluntary work at the club. I think that's important because, they're tennis players. Yep.
We've got quite a few.
Just the tennis, a little bit of money and experience, them as well. Special attention to their needs and preferences. I think it's really like listen to the next gen. Those guys are either going to be like your next top players or your next top coaches or whatever, and they know what's working at the moment and what, the younger generation wants. So I think it's important to, listen to them as much as possible, to keep it fun, etc. Like encourage possibilities to practice and play outside of regular training hours, for instance, at the club, a recreational ground, a park, etc. Just go and let them do their own kind of thing as well and let them have fun on their own, and because from experience, you can find out so much without just being on court with a coach. My main one, and it's always been the same for me, is fun. Whatever you do, is there always an element of fun, whether it's pro level or it's grassroots. It has to be fun. These guys on the tour, obviously I did a bit of traveling myself. If it's not fun, it's very, very tough. So obviously, there's levels of fun, but, it always has to be there. The spark has to be there, I feel. And then the last one would be like team-based practice and competition, like just increase that. As part of the coaching program, etc. Because as we've seen on TV, like Laver Cup, Davis Cup, ATP Cup now, the players love it, you know, and you can get so involved, and it's something new for tennis as well. So I think if we can increase that a little bit more, you know, at the lower level or at clubs and other places, you know, you never know till you try. And I think, and from hearing around, especially teenagers when I'm coaching, they love it. They absolutely love it. And they feel like it's not just them, but they've got someone else like to get a win for. And like my sister is currently having that experience now. So that's another thing that I can back that one up for.
No, those are really good points. Just for the teenagers that are listening there, I'm just giving you as a summary, and I want you to come back to me because the points that Jack's making, they're terrific, really, really fantastic points. So he's mentioned there about flexibility, stimulating lessons, stimulating on-court coaching activities outside of regular training. So should we be trying to get you doing a little bit more outside your regular training sessions, such as we have another park, so we could look at the people's park? Any other fun things that you would like myself and the other coaches to bring into the club to make it fun? And also, again, think about those would you like more team-based competition? So Jake's starting to put these ideas, guys, into your mind. So it's you now to come back to us or some of our junior committee and say, right, well, Jake mentioned this. We would like a little bit more of that in the club. That was super, Jake. Thank you for that one. The next one, keeping teenagers totally engaged. What should we be doing to keep them engaged, Jake?
So I think the first one, if we just link it straight to a lesson, I feel you've got to keep it 80% tactical and 20% sprinkled technical teaching. Because at the end of the day, and I think I've seen it mentioned from you yourself, is you want to try and keep it more game-based, you know, instead of too much technical. And you can see that a lot as well. So that was one of the big things when I started my coaching career roughly about 5 years ago. Is don't get too driven technically, you know, and you look at a lot of the players now, like, for example, Medvedev, you know, they're not technically sound. And I think for these upcoming players watching these guys and still hearing lots on technique, the two don't really go together. So I think if we can, you know, try and teach more tactical, obviously, and sprinkle technique over your sessions, then you get the best of both worlds, and the tactical, the game-based approach keeps them engaged. Yeah, not just what your elbow's doing or what your wrist is doing on the volley or the forehand, but, you know, just keeping it tactical based or, you know, dominated.
Brilliant.
Next one I'd say is include excitement, challenge of competition more often in lessons. Like even when I was having like coaching myself as a player, it was, we'd always play like on a Friday, for example, we'd play sets and use what we've done in that whole week, Monday to Thursday, to put into that competition and see if it works. And, you know, if it doesn't work, what can we, you know, work on next time? But I think like competition in lessons it's not always seen as a great thing to do, but at the end of the day, you go and play a tennis match, it's competition. Yeah. So I think there's got to be a little bit more match play, you know, just maybe 10 minutes at the end of the session. And it's not just go out there and play a tie break, but, you know, use the theme of the session.
Times matches, Jack. So have a few time matches maybe in the middle of the session or near the end of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Next one, maybe staying in shape, exercise, keep them moving in the session. You know, nobody really likes the lines kind of thing. They get bored, they start chatting about other things. And I know that, you know, just love to keep moving. Even as a coach, I'm parading the court, you know, from one end, calling out, etc. So just keep moving. In terms of, like, this could be good for social and performance players, but for your performance side of things, like international play, so get them going and playing tournaments abroad, ITFs, Tennis Europes, that sort of stuff, go as a team. And then you're not playing the same people every week or going to the same tennis centres. And then like tennis tours for your social players.
Yeah.
You know, take a group of them, even if it's 10 minutes down the road, take a group of them to a tournament. They can support each other, etc. You'll find out when you experience that. Look at stuff beyond the court. The psychology of tennis, I think, is very important. Tennis is not just all physical. You know, it's so interesting to look at the psychological side of the game as well. And you know, most of tennis is mental anyway. So I think that's something fresh and new that could be included in lessons or off court as well. Like lead by example. You know, if you're fun and you're engaging, etc., as a coach, it rubs off on the players and the teenagers as well. And even if they start to go into coaching, you know, then you've got those, you know it's right, or you know it's going to be a good session, etc. Encourage and praise efforts regularly. You know, we all love a medal, we all love a certificate. Even when I play tournaments now, I want to be the one with a prize at the end or something. So, you know, it's good to have those things in place, I feel. And it's very similar to the first one, but coach the game.
Yeah. Totally, thank you. Right, and we are now on to our last point of this section, participation, Jack. So we're looking for ideas to get more participating in the game for both players and for clubs.
Okay, so we tried this at the club that I currently coach at in London, and it's something called Bring a Friend Week. So the last week of term, we just say to the players, look, bring one friend, you know, whoever they are, whether they've played or they haven't played. And that was a great way of them getting somebody else involved at the club and, you know, just buddying up with someone that they're friends with at school, you know, college, whatever. So that was actually a really good one, actually. We did really well. We got a few sign up for the next term, that one. A good starter is like your social players, get them junior. You can when you're doing that at the club that I'm currently coaching at. And for your performance kind of players, just encourage them or boost them to go into like the adult box league. You know, just so you've got regular competition and it's in a nice environment. You know, it's not too pressured. Junior social tennis. I mean, you guys have probably got that running already, but I think that's a good one. Playing a few games, you know, having a different outlook on the game, keeping it fun again. Submitting on teams. So like team tennis, like you mentioned at the start, I played Aegon team tennis for all of my junior career. I loved it.
Jake, just on the
and you get
just on the team tennis there, we're actually bringing in the team tennis once we come out of lockdown. And other than our junior committee, the other juniors that's on this probably wouldn't have heard of it. Could you just explain to them what team tennis actually is?
So Aegon team tennis is basically your club or coaches will essentially put together a team of players that they will submit to the LTA, and they essentially put you into a box where you will play against other local clubs in your county or region. And then you organise, you know, and get parents involved as well. You organise those matches, you play singles and doubles. And once you've played all your matches, then you'll either be promoted into a higher division or you might stay the same or you might go down. But the main thing is that you get to play singles and doubles with your club players, members, and yeah, it's just a different environment. It has a different vibe to like maybe like a daunting tournament.
Yeah, it's more relaxed.
But it's great fun. Great
fun. No, that's great. Thank you very much, Jack. Right, so Jack, what we're going to do now, we're going to move on to the questions that were submitted. We'll just go through those. So the first question What is your advice on staying active, tennis orientated during lockdown? As obviously there's no courts or lessons available, are there any aspects, and this person's said about footwork or coordination, that we should think of improving, i.e. off-court training?
Definitely. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram or Facebook or anything, but I've developed some fun and dynamic activities in line with government guidelines to help everyone work on their skills safely in both indoor and outdoor spaces. Mm-hmm. And they're from technical practice to mental work. So you can check out my Instagram, Facebook, which is at Jake Southwick Tennis, for tennis exercises you can try today. And also, I'll let you into a little sneak peek, but keep an eye out on the LTA social media channels for my like lockdown features soon, because there'll be some stuff in there as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. Right, next question. What is the toughest match you have played and ultimately won? What do you believe was the reason for your success in this match? Now, I think this is a really important question, because just before lockdown, I was watching a few matches, and some of the players can get their heads down instead of fighting through. So what did you do to get ultimately that win in a tough match?
So mine was the round of 16 against the number 1 seed. He was a 1.2. In 2019 Wimbledon Club tournament, which I was on a clay court for 2 hours and 7 minutes. I truly believe the reason for my success in this match alone was I had no pressure or expectation to win, which allowed me to play, learn, and gain experience. So I won first round and then played this match, and I knew of the guy, but I could just go in there free. You know, obviously I've played matches where I've been, you know, seeded or under pressure to win, and it's not nice, but you will get opportunities like that. And the main thing is to play, learn, and gain in those situations. Because at the end of the day, if I win the match, fantastic. Like, it's unbelievable feeling. But on the other hand, if I lose, it doesn't actually matter. You know, as long as I come out of that knowing that I've, you know, been smart and done what I should be getting from that match, then that's also important. So yeah, either way, it was going to be an okay result anyway.
Brilliant. Question. The next question for you. 1 second. So if you're struggling,
if we can,
if you're struggling with confidence during training because you feel that your shots are off, what is the best advice to remain positive to ensure we don't waste the session? Okay,
this is a good one. I like this one. And confidence was a big thing for me when I was playing, especially in my last few years of my playing career. So I'd say focus on the things you can control. Be realistic in your expectations. Look for the positives in your performance. Cherish the successes. Surround yourself with positive people. Cut yourself some slack. Challenge your negative thoughts. Remember why you're playing. Smile, laugh, have fun, and take a time out. Obviously, that sounds like a lot of stuff, but obviously, you know, whoever asked this question can, you know, have that in front of them and work on maybe each one at each time. Not all of those things will work for you, but there's a very big broad range there that I'm sure one or two or maybe even three will work for you. Yeah, so try them out.
Yeah. If you're having a hitting session with a friend, what drills or games-based drills would you advise for it to be a worthwhile hitting session?
So I'd say set up activities with conditions and tasks, such as like yellow card, red card, add lives, process points, because if you add that to your session, then you're being productive and you're enjoying it at the same time. So it just adds an element of challenge whilst you're playing, and it's realistic, instead of just going out there and hitting a ball, or just going out there and hitting playing a match, which I see all the time at clubs. People turn up, warm up 10, 15 minutes, play a match, and you're either happy because you've won or you're not so happy because you've lost. Instead, go in there and try something new and use that time on court with those sorts of things.
Brilliant.
Yeah, try 1 out per session. You're like some more than others, etc. So yeah, give them a go when we can get back on court.
Super, thank you. You've worked with a variety of junior players, both performance and social. What attributes do you think can make a successful junior player?
So I think successful athletes demonstrate self-confidence, motivation, self-discipline, optimism, acceptance of criticism, poise under stress, focus, resilience, competitive spirit, natural leadership, humility, and passion. Again, it sounds like a lot. I've tried to put as much as possible into all of these questions. But again, you can reflect on these, have a little look in paper form or on your phone or online, and then, take parts from that. But that's what I'd say athletes demonstrate. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. So this was from one of our juniors who's working on their single-handed backhand. So I'm working on my single-handed backhand. What would you say are the main technical areas I should be focusing on, or what makes a successful single-handed backhand?
Okay, I hear this, obviously before lockdown, I hear this stuff every single day. How do I improve my backhand? What do I need to do for the backhand? Blah, blah, blah. Really, keep it simple. Yeah, but obviously you can work on your feet, body and racket in the preparation, hitting and recovery phases. But for me, and I've tried this out with many players as well, but I would actually advise spending some time and working on your mindset / playing in autopilot to allow all the hours of training perform. Your preparation is all about this. So I don't know specifically, about this player and where they're at with their tennis, but just have a think about that one about playing in autopilot, because I'm sure they've taken coaching and that sort of stuff before, and they're obviously working on it quite seriously. So try and have that element of focus on that particular factor. Try it out.
No problem. Thank you. This player hits a booming flat forehand jet, and it is their biggest weapon. They would love to add more margin and spin into the shot. What advice, possibly drills to do on the court, would you suggest?
Technically, I'd suggest hitting through the contact between waist and shoulder height, and extend up to eye level after contact, just to find the balance between power and control. You don't necessarily have to think about topspin. Again, that's something I, before lockdown, would hear every day. Everyone wants to hit with topspin. And you don't find a lot of players as well that have as you describe, a booming flat forehand. And if you've got one, that's great. Look at the game. It's so much more aggressive now. And look at all the next gen forehands and other forehands like Del Potro, Federer example. Don't go the other way and go for heavy spin. Stick with what you've got and just make it, just build on it. And then in terms of drills, I'd suggest the rally of 4 and play. So you just hit 4 shots and then play out the point. Don't feel like you have to win the point on the 5th shot or the 6th shot. It's just to get you in to the point. And the cross-court pattern of play. So just loads of cross-court hitting. There's your margin. Yeah, I'm not going to go into all of the benefits of hitting cross-court. I'm sure you know that stuff already, but just drill that cross-court forehand. Yeah, there's your margin. And then you'll have plenty of control on the technical pointers that I described there.
Brilliant. Just before I ask the last question on this part, Jack, if anybody has any other extra little questions, Jack, maybe I'll have a few minutes. Just add them into the comments box and I'll read a few of those out if you have any, okay? The next question, Jack. So at Ballymena Lawn Tennis Club, our courts are really open to the weather elements. So what advice, tactically and technically, do you have when playing in high winds and dealing with the sun?
Okay, so let's start off with the wind, because that's one of the most obvious ones. I'd suggest being aware of which way the wind is blowing. I know it sounds a little bit daft, but you can then build from that, your own ideas. Pay extra attention to your footwork, because anything can happen before and after the ball bounces. Attack the net. Counter aggressive volleys with a 1-2 punch, and go short and for the middle of the court. I think the earlier the bounce, the more secure and safe and confident you're going to feel that the ball will go in. Yeah, don't make it too complicated. Regarding the sun, I would suggest hitting higher, then the player gets the sun in their eyes. Exploit opponents' physicality. So make them work, make them tired in that heat. Take more time between points / exploit opponents' mental toughness. Look at a lot of the next gen players now, and Zverev brought this up maybe a year or two ago, that they play a lot of mind games. And I'm not saying, win the match because of this, but, just tread carefully. Take your time to get your breath back, think, but also just unsettle your opponent, because when they're not feeling too good, the number one thing is they rush and they just want to get on with it, whether they win or lose. So take some time to challenge them mentally. The biggest one is probably adjusting your ball placement for the serve, because the moment you put the ball up in the air, the typical thing is I can't see. So find a ball placement that you can work with. And take the sun as a tool to win the game. Yeah, you might think it's going against you, but actually, if you think about it in this way, with a strategy, you could have the sun as your buddy. Yeah, it could definitely help you to win.
Brilliant. Just this is a wee extra question here, Jack. I just got somebody who messaged it through to me. We've got quite a few social players that's wanting to take the step, up to play matches, but they're a little bit, say, nervous, or they think they lack some sort of ability to do it, but they're actually great. What advice would you have for that social player who maybe plays just maybe an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours a week, to take that next step to play maybe those team tennis matches, something along those lines?
I mean, the only word I would say is compete, but I think obviously they must be having coaching, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Do something.
So I would, speak to your coaches. You obviously put your trust in them, etc., to coach you. So if they're telling you something like go out and play, or you are good at, you need the confidence, etc., listen to them. I explained at the start about the coaches listening to the players, but the players got to listen to the coaches as well. And in this circumstance, start off with something at the club, organize a friendly against one of your best friends or something, and just go slow and steady. But talk to people. That's a big one. When I did my first Q&A interview with my sister the other day, and we were talking about the recruitment process for going out to America. And one of the main things she said is talk to people, because if you haven't had the experience, there's only one way of gaining it, and that is from people who've done it themselves. So, yeah. And when you go and then play that first match or a few matches under your belt, you will gain experience, of course, and you'll know what the coaches or your parents are talking about, and you will learn. There's so many things that you'll learn in a match that you can't get from a coaching session. So again, if you want to push your tennis that little bit further, you need those experiences. And a lot of them, or some of them, can only be found in, competition,
Competition.
whether that's a friendly match or it's a league match or it's a tournament. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks,
So
Jack.
talk to people.
Connor's just put a question up here, Jack. How long have you been playing tennis, and why do you think it is a worthwhile sport?
So I was a late starter. My sister started at the age of 5, and I probably started in my teens, actually, my early teens. Okay. So that's when I started, early teens, probably around, actually, earlier than that. I was about 11 or 12, actually. I was about 11 or 12. And for being a worthwhile sport, there's so many paths. You know, you can go through so many routes, and you can link it to being social as well. So tennis is not just about becoming a tennis player at the end of it, putting all that pressure on yourself, but you can go into coaching, you can go into officiating, you can go into, you know, being a secretary at the club, committee member. You can be a nutritionist. You could be physio, whatever it may be. And it opens so many doors. And it's not just one, you have to become a tennis player. There's so many doors it opens for yourself.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Is there any more questions?
So many opportunities. Yeah.
Very good. Is there any more questions here before we wrap up, guys? I've just got one question.
Can I?
Yep, go for it, Jim. Yep, go for it.
Is there any chance I could add a few things from the participation ideas?
Yes,
for players and clubs, just
100%.
Yeah. So after the team tennis, I was going to suggest like inter-club tournaments, whether they be team or individual, Player of the Month awards, tennis leaders courses, and then obviously level 1s, etc. Taster sessions and trials, hosting a schools tennis festival. We do that at the club that I'm coaching at. Like parent and child competition. That's a good thing for parents to see how the players are improving, and the players can sometimes show the parents up as well, which is quite funny. But an idea of that is the Quorn Family Tennis Cup, which I don't know if you guys
we're actually talking about I didn't mention to them the Quorn Cup, but we were actually talking in our committee meeting with our juniors about the parent-child idea, and that was actually where I got the idea from it. So some of us are aware of it, but a lot of them probably aren't, Jack.
Yep. And then I think there's 2 types, isn't there? Because me and my sister played the like teenager adult version where you play being held at a tournament and you go on to like a finals or something. And then the last one would just be social media, you know, being regular on there as a club or a coach, and offer the teenagers challenges, tips, etc. Just so it's not just, you know, they go to the club and do all their coaching, but, you know, you can still stay linked on a platform which all teenagers
aren't used,
you know, communicate. Yeah.
Right. Well, Jake, that is us. We've only got approximately a minute left. On behalf of Ballymena Lawn Tennis Club, the coaches and our committee members, our senior committee members, have actually wanted to forward their gratitude for you to do this evening. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And those that are listening, if you would follow Jake on Instagram. What is it, Jake? What's your follow on Instagram?
So it's at Jake Southwick Tennis. And that's it.
Tennis. So if you could all give Jake a follow on there. There's some amazing stuff that he puts up daily actually at the moment. So you'll be very lucky to see some things that he does. And I hope to work with you again in the future, Jake. And I wish you all the best with your coaching. And please keep in touch with us.
Thank you, and you too.
Thank you very much, Jake. Cheers.
Thank you so much.